All right, hey everybody. Can you just do me a favor and drop something in the comments if you can hear me? Just got a new laptop, so I'm resetting up OBS. Just want to make sure it's all coming across okay. All right, cool. All right, everybody. So today I'm just going to be going through and building a house and put some music on in the background. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. And yeah, should be pretty fun. So first thing I'm going to do is actually do the massing for the volume here. So actually, to make sure that I'm going to make this at scale correctly, just going to drop in a mannequin. So let's go to prefabs, grab a mannequin, drop them in the box here so that they're at 1:1 scale. How am I able to see the chat within GS? There is a way to share your your desktop menu, but I just pop off the headset out every now and then. I'm not starting from a 2D sketch. I'm actually just trying to block out some volumes and stay pretty freeform about this. So hopefully it turns out well. So this is a pretty useful feature that just came out with the update. Basically, before you were only able to put one thing in edit mode at a time here. So you can see I'm adjusting each one of these individually, but now what you can do is you can actually toss multiple things into edit mode. So let's grab these 4 objects right here, and instead of just clicking it once to put one into edit mode, you would grab the multiple objects and then long hold that menu button. And then once you do that, you'll have like a minimized option of edits that you can do. But you'll see that you can actually pop all of these things into edit mode and adjust them at one time, which is super helpful. All right, so right now what I'm thinking about is just 3 levels to this house, and the first one here is going to be made out of concrete, and I just recessed this one side in here because I'm planning on having the entrance to the house right here with a couple of lights and the door and maybe even like a thin window to let some light in. And then the second floor here has this large statement window, and this is probably going to be made out of some sort of stucco. And one thing that you might have noticed is that I actually separated this window piece from the actual building. And there's a couple of ways to do this in Gravity Sketch. There's no really quick way to do it, to split up geometry, which would be actually pretty helpful for exporting and rendering somewhere else. But it's not too much of a workaround. So basically what I do is, like let's say I want this frame to be wood and the rest of this to be stucco. I would duplicate up this object like that, and then maybe duplicate one more up again, and then delete everything that isn't the frame, like this. And then in the top one that I duplicated here, delete everything that is the frame, or delete the frame. Okay, So then once I have that, I will bring this one down, and then usually color this something different just to make it easier to see. And then it's a game of eyeballing. So that's close enough like that. And like that, generally that works, but just to bring things a little bit closer, let's grab that, the frame, and put that into edit mode, and then turn snap on. And then we could just snap to the 4 points that we have here. So now these are two separate objects, but we move them close enough together and snap them so it looks pretty good, and it serves our purpose. I'm going to duplicate up that window and snap that one as well. Forgot to duplicate that up. I mean, I'm sure you can take this, you definitely can take something like this and leave it as one object and export it to another program and then split it up via materials. But for me, I like to visualize it as I'm creating it. So small things like having that window frame a different color really help. And then I'll just group that all together. And drop it down here. And we have a little bit of gap between the floors here, and that's okay, that's intentional. I'm going to add some sort of a connecting joist between them. And I'm just going to check the time and some of the questions. Will there be interiors? Possibly, probably not in this session. I don't think we have enough time for that today. But if you really want to make a render look good, it's always, with architecture, it's a good idea to toss in an interior. Even if it's not really flushed out, it just interacts with the light in a nice way and makes it more realistic. Okay, so let's focus on the rest of this house here and make some notes. So I'm going to come to sketching aid, lock it vertically. So I'm thinking that, given the upright nature of this house, it's probably likely that we're going to have another house here, and this is going to be a somewhat urban setting. And then maybe I'll put a little fence here, and then I'm not going to add foliage in Gravity Sketch just because I don't want to spend like my geometry count on foliage here. But I can imagine here that, we'll have a nice tree here, maybe some bushes, probably scooch this house over, and maybe a gate here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And yeah, so you can see, like, it's not like we did a whole lot of massing to figure out, like, what this is going to look like, but sketch lines are enough to understand the proportions of other buildings in relation to yours. And then up here, I have something that I was thinking could be like a little garden there, and then potentially cut some slit windows in here. And it doesn't look bad. What's really going to set this thing off is lighting. And you can't do lighting in Gravity Sketch, but we can plan things out like with sketch lines, and then whenever I take this and export it and put it into Twinmotion, add all the life to it and the textures and the lighting and everything that's needed. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add the fencing. So I'm going to add some fencing here, add some fencing here, and we're going to duplicate and move things along a straight axis to do that. So let's drop in a primitive here. We're going to stick with a cube, but we also want to turn on the grid tool. So if you've noticed on the update, the grid tool is no longer on this panel here. For some reason we moved it to beta, so you have to enable it, and then you have to turn it on here. And once you have that on, you can drop in an object and know, with confidence that it's aligned with X, Y, and Z. And then come back in here and turn that off. And now, before converting it to sub D, I'm just going to roughly shape the size of these boards. think that's a good size right there. And okay, once we're done with that, take it out of edit mode, and I'm going to use Smart Move to place it. So if you remember Smart Move, align your controllers head to toe, highlight the object, and make sure you are aligning them parallel to the axes that you actually want to move in. Alright, so I'm going to drop it there, duplicate it up, and then once you make your first duplication, the first gap there, you can just continue to duplicate it up like this. And rather than doing that again, just going to shift this down, get it close enough. Maybe even shift it back like that. That kind of looks cool. Alright, that works. And let's group that all together so that we have all those boards. And then duplicate that out. Alright, that looks good. Add some wood color into that. Duplicate that over to the other side. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh, this is kind of cool. This stroke line here is actually reminding me of a lamp, like a street lamp. And maybe we can make really quickly here like a modern street lamp. So just going to stick with the stroke tool here, shift the size down a bit, and let's hop in here and start cleaning up some of these edit points. Alright, and then we can grab these points and scale them down a bit. Alright, and let's change the shape type a bit here too. Let's make it kind of oval. I think that looks cool. Turn off end caps so we get that sharp edge. And let's duplicate that out. Let's not overthink this. Just reuse some geometry. Scale it up a bit. Drop it there. Oh, and we have snap on, so actually we can snap it to those other points. And then turn snap off and shift it down a little bit like that. Okay. That looks pretty cool, and I mean, we only use one tool there, just the stroke tool. Alright, and make that some sort of a light gray. Okay, so this is actually what I really like about the new beta menu, is every once in a while I'll especially when I'm streaming and I have a little bit of lag, accidentally toss out the tool belt like this. And now with the beta menu, you can come in here and just toggle off the tool belt. So now, you know, I'm not going to accidentally do that. And I do use the tool belt, but not so often that that I need to have it on all the time. So that's definitely really helpful improvement there. All right, let's duplicate that out a bit. And yeah, I mean, that was like a couple of seconds worth of building, but it really helps to understand what this thing would look like from a street view. All right, let's work on the windows up here. So I do like the idea of those three thin windows right here, kind of looking out onto the street, but not directly. And then, you know, you have some greenery here that you could actually have some like high grass and offer a little bit of privacy for the third floor. So I think the way I want to do this is actually same technique that I showed a little bit ago. So duplicate this up and let's delete everything but the front face where the windows are going to be. And then on this one, delete just the front face. And let's make them a different color here. Shift it up, turn on snap, and snap it to these different points. Okay, so now we know that we have those two separate surfaces, and I can start to add edge loops and define this yellow surface here. All right, let's see how we want to do this. Okay, so one thing you can't do in Gravity Sketch is, well, maybe you can, and I just haven't figured it out yet, is get an even amount of edge loops across here. So for instance, if I have 3 windows that I want to put in there, and I want equal distance in gap there, as far as I know, there's no good way of doing that right now. But again, you would be surprised how good eyeballing is. So I'm just going to try a few times here, and the feeling that we'll be able to get it good enough for a render. Okay, so that's our gap between that window, so I can shift that out a bit. And I guess another really nice thing is if you half hold the trigger when you're dropping in edge loops or edges like this, you can slide it along another edge and choose pretty precisely where you want to place this thing. So, and then fully press the trigger in whenever you actually want to make that selection. Okay, so I could have done a better job with the gap here on the sides. So, actually I'm going to take a different approach here. I'm going to set the gaps for the sides first. Alright, yeah, that's pretty good. And let's set the bottom and top of the windows. Yeah, that should be good enough. And then we're going to turn on restrict face movement here and duplicate in. I probably want to have a bit of a window frame there, just to add more detail. It's like those small little detail things actually do a lot. So I'm going to press the back button here and do my best to, actually I'm going to turn off vertical lock first, turn on restrict face movement, and try and duplicate and scale in, so like this. Now, the way that you do that is, let me just duplicate this and show it over here. So let's say that we have a simple rectangle like this. And what we want to do is duplicate in and then make some sort of a surface like that, right? Basically, you would grab that, put it into edit mode, select the face, press the pointer finger trigger to duplicate like that. And it's really a game of being as still as possible. So press the pointer finger and then go left or right on the joystick to scale it up and down. And then, of course, press the pointer finger for, duplicating that surface out. It's not perfect. Sometimes you might have shift it in an axis you don't want. But again, like looking at it like this, you can barely tell. And once you put textures on this stuff, all those things like crazy amount of precision, it kind of goes out the window. Okay, so maybe if I duplicate it in like that and then duplicate it in. That's kind of interesting. The only problem here is it's going to be difficult for me to do the same thing 3 times. Okay, so we're gonna have a design change here. I'm just gonna delete these. Actually, I'm gonna go back on the and delete these vertices or these edges. And we're gonna start off with a simpler square. Okay, here. So we'll make it a big bay window. All right. So that's good enough for me right there. Let's delete this, group that, duplicate this down. And I'm going to check questions and take a look at the time as well. Yeah, really I actually never get motion sickness. The only way I get motion sickness is if there's like a little bit of lag. And I mean, that actually never happens unless I have like a bunch of applications running on my computer. Let's see. Can you mirror the piece? Yeah, so you can, that's a good point. You can mirror the piece. Yeah, you're right. There probably is a way of doing this here. Okay, let's try it this way. Let's go to grid, turn on grid, drop in a shape. All right, so this is going to be our window. Let's convert that to sub D. Let's turn off grid. And let's delete these faces. Now let's turn on restrict face movement. Actually, I wonder if grid would help here. Let's turn on grid, restrict face movement, duplicate it in. Okay, see? We learn something new every single time. So grid is actually going to help. Let's see if I can draw this out so that I can explain it better. So usually when, give me 1 second here. Okay, so usually whenever I'm duplicating in like this to create this surface here, I accidentally shift it in, Z and in Z, right? And so it gives kind of this weird texture where you have the corners moving in. But if I turn grid on and I scale it, it stays completely flush. So even though that's not like, the intended use, it just shows that there's always a way to do something in Gravity Sketch. You can always like hack a result. Okay, cool. So that looks pretty good. Let's turn on restrict face movement, duplicate it back, and maybe drop in an edge loop here. I just need a square here. It doesn't even need to be the right size. Alright. Now we can duplicate that, cut out the hole, take a new piece of geometry here, turn on snap, and kind of bolt it to the window frame here. Okay, so now we have our window. Let's group it, and let's duplicate it over like this. And now we have our three windows. Alright, doesn't look bad. And I think what I'll do is ungroup this one, take a surface, and snap it. There we go. And for a little extra detail, let's take this and it's weird. Okay, there we go. Let's duplicate it back. And rather than do it with the other one over there, it's probably best to just duplicate it over. And snap it so that it fits perfectly. All right, cool. So, who dropped that comment in? Okay, so Wayne was right. There's definitely a way to to do this correctly. How's the video coming through for everybody? Is it kind of struggling there? Yeah, there's definitely a way to view your monitor in the Sketchland through Oculus. Just press this Oculus button right here, and you'll see the option to share your desktop monitor. All right, so the real test is, can we attach those windows to the top floor here? So for that, I'm actually going to use the tool belt. So let's go back to beta, turn on tool belt, swing that out like that, and then use the precision tool. Let's click, and on a new update with the precision tool, you are able to snap in increments pretty nicely. So let's try that out. All right, 60 looks like it's a little too much. All right, let's see how that works. All right, I think that's good enough. Just lower that. All right, it's definitely going to need some rework here. All right, yeah, that's actually pretty well centered. Let's ungroup this, turn off snap, and delete that surface. Delete the window here, and now we have some fun. Let's Okay, we're gonna put a pause on that. I think I can do that, but I don't want to use the whole session for that. But I think this is doable. I think we can do that. Okay. In the meantime, let's duplicate this guy up, shift him back, use him as some contextual measurement for the lighting here, and actually let's make a doorway. So put that into edit mode. Let's drop some edit points in like that, and duplicate it in that surface. Alright, let's shift that up so that we can work on it. I'm going to delete the entire roof so that we're just dealing with the walls here, and delete the floor as well. Okay, it's going to make things a little simpler. And so now we can zone in on the door here. So now what I'm going to do is actually separate the door. So delete everything except for the door. Again, turn on snap here, drag these things up. And yeah, I should probably mention, this is also, if I planned this project out a little bit more, it probably would have been smart to like grab some things off of TurboSquid. Like if you had a door that was already built in another program, or if you built it in another program, and just import those and use those. You don't have to build everything here in Gravity Sketch. Probably save you a lot of time actually. Anyways, we're just going to move ahead and drop a window in for this door. Recess it a bit like that. Alright, let's merge both sides of the door here. Snap these points together.
Watch me take my soul. Watch me take control. There's a moment flow. Glimpses of the soul. As I sing this word, numbers on the page. It's not too long. 1 minute to the hour.
And let's make the window now. So delete everything here. This is definitely a lot of work. I should have just brought in a door. Would have taken a few minutes. All right, there we go. We have our very simple door. Let's shift that into place. Knock out that bottom floor, group this together, drop it down. And let's just start adding some details. All right, this we can use for lighting. Alright, hopefully I'm not making anybody too nauseous. It just so happens that scaling in Gravity Sketch is probably like the most useful feature, and so if you get comfortable with scaling, you end up doing it a lot, and it's not the most pleasant thing for everybody else to watch. Alright, I'm just going to make a little, maybe, well, not really little, I'm going to make a massive planter out here for a tree. So you can imagine this would be concrete. And scale that in a bit. Let's use the volume tool and make some dirt. And then this is probably going to lag a lot of things up, but I think I can drop in some foliage here. If I have any saved, I don't think I do though. Plants, here we go. Alright, realistic trees. Yes, perfect. Alright, let's pull one of these out. And let's use this guy here. Right. Gives you a pretty good idea. Not sure what color that would be, but there we go. It's not too bad. Some of the proportions look a little bit weird, but you know, holding this button here and the pointer finger so that you can zoom out and actually rotate your model really helps a lot to like understand this thing at scale. All right, so let's see what the time is. If there's any questions. Oh, someone likes the music. All right, sweet. Thanks. All right, and we are just about at time. We have a few minutes here. If you guys enjoyed this, please, drop a like, drop a comment, subscribe to it. We're going to start doing these twice a week. So we're going to do them on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Tuesdays a little bit earlier, Wednesdays at the normal slot. And seriously, if you guys want to see anything made, drop it in the comments. Jaron and I are always looking for, a subject matter to take on. So, it helps us out a lot to know what you guys want to see. And, Gravity Sketch is now free. So, if you haven't yet, download it, give it a try. If you're just starting out, press the blue button here. There's tutorials at the very bottom. And, that should get you up and going pretty good. And if not, we have a bunch of YouTube videos. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm actually going to flesh this out a little bit more and then drop it into Twinmotion, which I just downloaded yesterday, and try and get some renders out and post them on our Instagram. So definitely follow us on Instagram as well if you want to see that kind of stuff. Thanks so much everybody for showing up, and have a good day.